greatest.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Sixth NBA championship, and it's their second three-peat.
And we are locked in. Max and Dave here. Cuzzo, we finally get to sit down and reflect on the NBA lottery. You're a Knicks fan.
Draft lottery. It's over. This is the bonus episode we were talking about last podcast. Wow. It's so many emotions. Will Ferrell and the funny movie, he's the anchor man, and he's in that glass case of emotion. It's like, I was devastated. Just right off the bat, my first raw internal emotion was devastation. It's been 36 hours. There's so much to talk about, and I'm so happy we're here in this studio to break everything down, every trade possibility, every draft pick, Zion Williamson, John Morant, RJ Barrett. Cam Reddish doesn't even get talked about anymore. We got Bol in the draft lottery. Who knows? But I'm starting to get over it. I need this therapy, so it's good to talk to you and talking to this mic.
Yeah. Well, let's start off. Let's not even sugarcoat things. You texted me, and you thought that there was a leak in the draft even before that.
Yeah.
And it was the rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, snaps, because it said Knicks at fifth overall pick, which would have been even worse.
That's the absolute worst.
Yeah, that would have been the absolute worst. And you're a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
So you obviously want the first, and you want Zion.
Yeah.
I'm a Lakers fan, and we had a 2% chance of getting Zion. And
sure.
I don't know what the overall percentages was for us to get in the top four. Obviously, it was very slim.
Yeah, top four was around like 6%.
Yeah.
2% to get number one.
Yeah. So just from a Lakers perspective, because I know there's so much more to talk about from a Knicks perspective, is I'm so happy that we're even in top four. Like, of course, when I saw the Lakers popped up, there's Memphis, New Orleans, and then there's the Knicks. I'm like, I'm just happy we're top four. Anything above top four is icing on the cake. And then when they showed four, I'm like, okay, like I didn't get my hopes up too much. I didn't think we were going to get Zion. So I was just happy that we got something higher than we did at 11.
It's expectations in life. If Tom Brady goes 8-8 this year, it's LeBron James. He's the best player in the world. He didn't make the playoffs. It was awful. It was devastating. It was a awful, terrible year. If, let's just call Anthony Davis didn't make the playoffs, it's, another year Anthony Davis didn't make the playoffs. It's just expectations in life. So, yeah, the Lakers definitely won. It looks like it is a great trade piece.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that probably the whole episode, Anthony Davis. But with New York not getting one, it's sad, it's miserable. But with them sticking at the third spot, it's okay. And just hearing so many Colin Cowherd and so many scouts and so many people talk about it, I'm feeling better. For one, RJ Barrett going into the season was the number one guy. And usually when the number one guy, I thought about this, goes into that big school, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, and then that big number one recruit, number one scout, ESPN 1 out of 100, averages 22 points a game in that big school. And that school goes to the Elite Eight and they win. Yeah. And he averages 5.2 assists and is a pretty good three-point shooter. You think there's no way that guy gets, someone catapults over him. So, but that's how special Zion Williamson is.
Right.
And we'll give him that. And that's how special Ja is. And we'll talk about him as well. But I'm starting to become okay with the third pick because I see us getting RJ Barrett or trading it for Anthony Davis.
On RJ Barrett, I was a fan of him, but you and I both hit on it early. I think that he's going to underachieve in the NBA. And I may be completely wrong on that because he does have a lot of the skills that you'd think is transferable now that he was an elite scorer in college, and you know that the paint's more crowded. It's a different game. Now it's more spread up, no hand check, of course, more three-point shooting more than ever. So I think there's room for him to become a good player. I don't think he'll ever be an all-star. Like, I see comparisons with him and James Harden. I just don't think that's fair. And I know because of how elite he was in college that you are able to make those opinions or those comparisons. But in my opinion, I don't see him being that type of player in the NBA. I think his ceiling is, and it's not a bad ceiling at all because I love this guy, is Lou Will. Like, I love Lou Williams. I love him.
I have 3 names written here, and all of them are kind of different, but Lou Williams, Chris Middleton, and Siakam.
Yeah, and I love all 3 of those guys.
That's what and for the Knicks, if we get Kevin Durant, you just need another piece. The Raptors have Kawhi, who's played better than Kevin Durant or as good as Kevin Durant. And Siakam has been a good piece there in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So I love that call. If he's just a piece to the puzzle, I'm happy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think Lou Will is his ceiling. So if people go in with those type of expectations, then you're probably going to think he's a good NBA player. But if you're thinking, hey, he has the potential to be James Harden, then I think people are going to get disappointed, like you back to what you said, his expectations. Mm-hmm. So I think in that aspect, I think it's good that the Knicks, obviously, the 3rd pick is way better than the 4th pick.
Yes.
So, like,
it is.
I'd rather have RJ Barrett than the guy that we're projected to get. But I don't think the Lakers, because I guess I'm speaking on behalf of the Lakers, because, I mean, I might as well. We don't know who the face of the Lakers is right now. So, for
LeBron / Max Van Auken, the face of the Lakers.
And I think Pelinka, but it's really Kobe Bryant. And Jeannie Buss's friend actually has more ownership than she does now.
Kurt Rambis and his wife and his girlfriend. I don't know.
And R.I.P. to the great Dr. Buss, but maybe he's coming back. We don't know. So it could be the Jon Snow effect. I think that the Lakers are obviously going to trade that pick. I think like they're going to use that if they can get Anthony Davis. And that was actually my other thing was everybody, and Nick Wright said it, and I couldn't have agreed with him more when he was talking to Colin Cowherd, was I don't think people are getting the Lakers' assets enough credit. They had a bad year. Like, there's no argument there. There's no debate anymore. But I still think Brandon Ingram has value. I know he had his health issues, but I still think he has value if he comes back and they run the tests again and make sure he's clean to go for basketball. I think he has value. I think Kyle Kuzma has a lot of value. I think Josh Hart has some value. And I definitely think a 4th overall pick has some value. Because you and I know, if you look at this NBA playoffs right now, Giannis wasn't 1. Like Steph Curry wasn't 1. Damian Lillard wasn't 1. So what may be the 4th pick now may not seem that good to maybe a poorly ran franchise or to just franchises that need some optimism and some futuristic type of opinions and views. The 4th pick is pretty good. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of chaos, but I feel like it's overshadowed some of the valuable assets that the Lakers have.
Agree. We'll talk more about Anthony Davis. He will probably control the summer. We're big NBA guys. He's the biggest bargaining chip that's on the move, probably. Even with the Pelicans getting the number 1 pick in Zion Williamson, he still said, I want out. I've had it here 7-8 years.
That's crazy.
And Zion for 7-8 years. If he has that run, Anthony Davis at year 14 is not Anthony Davis anymore.
It makes sense.
Out of the league. So I totally get it, and I totally defend him. And you just said the 4th pick and try to get AD. What happened? David Griffin goes, hey, the Pelicans, we're not going to trade him to the Lakers. We don't like Ingram. Just say if they don't like Kuzma, I think Kuzma's been the best chip with all these teams, the Boston, New York, and the Lakers. I agree with you on that one. But just say if the Pelicans don't want him. Okay. I have a trade. Ring, ring, ring. That's a cell phone. Mm-hmm. The Memphis Grizzlies call the Los Angeles Lakers. They're like, hey, we're young. We have our kid, Jaren Jackson, had a pretty good year. We really love John Morant. We're picking him number 2. We're locked in. I'm picking him number 2. I've heard that all week long. Come on, guys. Give us our 8 cents when you say the locked in thing, please. The Memphis Grizzlies call the Lakers, and for the 4th pick of the draft, they offer you Mike Conley Jr. and Avery Bradley. 2 good veteran point guards. One's a defender /3. 3-point shooter. One's a point guard. And now you can maybe even move Ball to another team, or you can even now you have really good depth. You have Ball, Conley, Avery Bradley, and Josh Hart in that 1-2. I just feel like you have a lot of moving pieces. Let's just call a spade a spade. The Anthony Davis thing might not happen. You might have to get another trade offer. I think that's pretty damn good. You get 2 veteran guards already shooting threes that can help LeBron James right now.
No, I think if there's two things. Avery Bradley's contract, I know he has a lot of money.
Oh, they both do. Conley has a lot of money.
I'm about to say, so I don't know if I would want to embrace that type of money for those type of players.
They don't get him.
I'm about to say that's the thing.
If they don't get Butler and Kyrie, that's what I'm kind of.
That was my next thing. Is if we go, because I really like David Griffin and I know he wants to do LeBron James a solid, but because they said what the best trade you can make, and of course, if you're a GM in the West, you don't want to send your best player to the West. You'd prefer the East, but if the West provides the best offer, I think you and I are on the same page. Like San Antonio, you're going to get a lot. Like the Pelicans, the Lakers offered you half the roster. I get it, they're in the West. But take the damn trade. It's the best trade. So I think if they're not able to get Anthony Davis, if for some reason Kyrie Irving doesn't come to LA, if Jimmy Butler for some reason loves Philadelphia and they offer him max money, if they can't get anybody, then yeah. Like it's like, okay, we have to have more depth. But I do think we're able to get somebody with what the assets we have. And I know Lonzo Ball's been injury prone, but I think it says something to today's NBA because if you look at all the point guards, they have a history of being injured. So one, even though Lonzo Ball's been injured both his seasons, not only do a lot of young players miss a lot of games, a lot of players in today's game miss a lot of games. It's not like the old days. Because I was thinking about it. Steph Curry was injured in the early of his career a lot with his ankles. And I'm not saying Lonzo Ball, Steph Curry, but you look at a lot of these point guards and they have a history of being injured. So I don't know if a GM will look at Lonzo Ball's history and say, oh yeah, he's missed a lot of games. I think he lost his value. I think it has a couple red flags because you want to make sure if you're investing in something, it's reliable and consistent, but I do think he still has a lot of value. So I think what's going to happen is that the Lakers and Rob Pelinka, I mean, if they know how to make a trade, I'm not too sure if they do, but if they do,
great point.
You would think a good front office would say, okay, we need a free agent and help lure like Kyrie Irving. I think they'll give up enough to convince David Griffin to get 80. Because I could see Zion playing with like a Kuzma, with a young nucleus. I don't even want to see Zion in New Orleans, to be honest, but I think it's gotten to that point.
That's what I kind of want to talk about. Let's almost skip the AD trades and put that in the back burner. Let's really talk about Zion and the Pelicans, Ja Morant, Memphis. Because you just threw out Zion might play with RJ Barrett. The Knicks might trade the 3 Mitchell Robinson and Kevin Knox for Anthony Davis. And now you got Duke down in the South, you know?
Yeah.
But Zion Williamson, he's the number one guy. The smile, the game, the athleticism, he's the man. He's what everyone wanted. So the Pelicans have him at number one. Colin threw out a bold, big opinion about how he should not go. He should pull the John Elway, the Eli Manning. One guy he didn't say, and I think you remember him, and if not, Steve Francis.
Yeah.
A stud Houston guard, that's what everyone remembers. He got drafted by then. They weren't the Memphis Grizzlies. They had Vancouver Grizzlies. And he's like,
he didn't do it.
I'm not going to play in Canada, guys. I'm not going to do it. And they traded him. They just had to. He said, because I won't show up. I'll skip a year. That's fine with me. So I don't think Zion's that guy. He has too good game of a smile. That. I just think he will be a Pelican. The Pelicans are not going to trade the pick. Even if he kind of says he wouldn't want to play there, like he's not happy, you still just have to pick him. He's that great of a talent and try to persuade him. And that's why I think the RJ Barrett's got legs, because you saw them on the pre-show. Him and Barrett looked like had a great relationship.
Yeah, they're like brothers.
Yeah, brothers. They're laughing. So maybe Anthony Davis, now listen, this is my reason and why. I think it makes perfect sense. Anthony Davis doesn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. He's kind of disgruntled. So if you have one noisy kid at the dinner table, you don't bring the other kid over. They're both going to be noisy, disgruntled kids. But if one kid's an angel, you take the other kid and you bring him over, and they both are good at the dinner table. So if you bring RJ Barrett to New Orleans, and they're both happy in their family and their brothers, I think Zion will be happy, RJ will be happy, and you have a good young nucleus.
It makes sense if you're Zion, but I don't think it makes sense for the Knicks. That's just me, because if I'm the Knicks, of course you want Anthony Davis, but I mean, not the Knicks. I'm sorry.
Okay,
it doesn't make sense for the Pelicans, because I think you can get way more for Anthony Davis than just RJ Barrett and like a Dennis Smith.
Well, let me interrupt.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Mm-hmm. You're right. But this is the point. You want to make Zion happy. It's not even about getting the most or getting the best Or because the best is keeping probably Anthony Davis. He's the best player that will get traded, and he's got 1 year. Then you have a lot of salary cap. He's probably the best. But you want to make Zion, who is the absolute future of your team, the happiest. And sometimes maybe signing J.R. Smith in Cleveland wasn't the best deal. Maybe it wasn't signing, Love and all that stuff wasn't the best. But you wanted to make LeBron happy in Cleveland, and that's why you won. So I think there's something to it.
No, I agree with that. I think for morale and chemistry, there's something. But I think Zion may not be happy right now. But let's just say, because I really do like Griffin, the GM for the Pelicans, if he can do a trade where they really have some value, I think that would still make him happy. Maybe not to the point where he doesn't have his brother with him, but any player that's has this much hype, you don't want to go to such a losing franchise. So if you get any type of value where you have good teammates around you, I'm pretty sure that would help him, if that makes sense. Like, I think Griffin's going to do the best deal. And I know you want Zion to be happy, but I do think Zion may be happy if you, maybe not with RJ Barrett, but if you get good players around him. That would help him still also. Maybe not as much morale, but on the court. Because that's 50% of the game is being on the actual court.
No.
So if you get good players with him, that would probably make him happy too.
Sure. No, I agree. I just don't think you're going to get A+ talent in this trade. You're going to get B or B-.
Yeah.
So if you get B- and C's, Dennis Smith Jr., Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, RJ Barrett, B, C players, but you have the great morale. You have all these young players that are happy. If your team at the beginning of the season goes, the Pelicans starting 5, Drew Holiday, RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson, Kevin Knox, and Mitchell Robinson, it's not bad. And they're young, they're happy, it's Duke. It's not bad.
Is Drew Holiday a free agent?
No, they re-signed him. They last season they gave him that 4-year, 5-year good money deal.
Because I think, all right, because I was I remember he re-signed only because of Anthony Davis. It was like something like that.
Yeah.
But all right, here's another out of the left field here.
Okay.
Everyone thinks it's the Lakers and the Knicks, and I think so too. But a couple things I've seen is the Clippers. It's because they think that they have, not only do they have room to sign max guys, but they have a lot of trade assets. Jerry West, obviously, Doc Rivers. Do you think the Clippers, because it technically is Los Angeles where Anthony Davis wants to be, we all know he wants to be a Laker or a Knick, but do you think they could pull something off because the Pelicans want the best for their deal, which is Anthony Davis? Do you think they would accept a Clippers offer if the Clippers go all in here? Here's Gallinari, here's a couple picks, and I have to see on the roster who they're...
It's that rookie guard with the long name, Glacis, something like that. No, I saw that too, and it could, but this is the biggest, something's in the way. What is that called?
Barrier?
Yeah, a barrier or hurdle. Yeah, wow, good words. You're like a dictionary over there. They have to sign a free agent first. Anthony Davis is not going to go there alone, especially, and we'll talk about it. He won't go there and say, hey, I'm going to re-sign here. If you trade all their good assets, all their future draft picks, and almost leave Anthony Davis where the Pelicans are, just singled out in LA, not winning. If they get a Kawhi Leonard, or if they get a Kevin Durant, a Jimmy Butler, if they get one of those meat guys first, yes, Anthony Davis could go there and become the potatoes. That could happen, yes.
The NBA is like Game of Thrones right now. Because I'm thinking about it.
Moving pieces around. We're moving this. Build a bridge. Barriers.
If you think about the NBA free agency, you think of like LeBron James going to Miami as like, that's like the big one for me. And then since then, like him going back to Cleveland. And then it's like, where is Kevin Durant going? He went to Golden State. And then where's LeBron going? He goes to LA. I feel like NBA free agency, like if you look at like their like the stock chart, like it's only going up. So like, is it going to keep, and then you can argue this year is going to be the biggest because Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins,
Kyrie Irving,
Jimmy Butler.
Vucevic.
That's what I'm saying. So like, do you think the offseason has gotten to the point where it's not even disputable? It's bigger than the regular season?
Yeah, kind of.
And will it keep doing that?
It probably will because of the mobile aspect of the players in the game now. And I love... Colin Cowherd said it's a drama show. It
is.
You got Joel Embiid crying. You got people celebrating. You got Kawhi being the awkward guy that no one likes on the show. You have Giannis, the go-lucky, good-looking guy on the show. You got pretty girls. You got Kyrie Irving and Durant and Steph Curry, the sexy players on the team. You have so much drama going on. It's a drama show, cuzzo.
Yeah. If they were to fix the regular season, I know we're getting a little off script here, but if they were to fix the regular season where it wasn't 82 games, I think it would be, I don't think it'll ever surpass the NFL, but it would get to the point where the rating, because if you noticed, Game 7 ratings, of course, are always the highest.
Oh, sure.
Because there's a sense of urgency. Whoever wins moves
Exactly.
on. And I know you mentioned the playoff theory, but if they could limit the regular season where it's not 82 games, I see Adam Silver was even on the pre-draft show, I don't know if you remember, or lottery, and he was talking about regular season tournaments.
Yeah, I was just going to throw that out there. And I think it's a brilliant idea. Every time you hear an idea and be like, oh, that's a little out there, it's crazy, and it's different, I'm usually into that. You got to involve. It's 2019. Our parents would never think that we would pay our electric bill on our telephone. But that's what we do. We watch TV through a phone. It's just we evolve. You can have the first 20 games, the first 30 games of the season. Every team plays every other team one time. Whoever has the best record in the East, best record of the West, automatically qualifies for the postseason and will have home court advantage.
Was this yours or is that Adam Silver's?
No, it's my idea, but I took it from Adam Silver saying like an in-season tournament. So I'm taking that. That's a broad idea, and I'm giving it details. So now the first 31 games of the NBA season is like a little mini tournament, a mini playoff bracket. So, like sometimes the Pistons were hot at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. If the Pistons can qualify earlier, you can have the Lakers. The Lakers were awesome at the beginning of the year. They were healthy. They were balling. So if they can play together.
I get it. Balling.
Thank you. So I get paid the big bucks. So if they can play great at the beginning of the year and then qualify, they can have a bad rest of the season. And, of course, you would probably want the 1 seed or the 2 seed, so teams would always still play, but they would guarantee they would lock in a 4 seed in the East or West. So now you only have, after this little mini tournament in the season, you have a 50-game regular season, which everyone would love. I just blew your mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
I just blew your mind. I'm telling you, we had the MMA World Cup idea, Max. We got the draft idea. We're brilliant, cuzzo.
Yeah, because that's like that makes sense because the one aspect, like I said, in the NBA is the regular season's too long. Yeah, it doesn't have a sense of urgency at all.
The first 30 games, like, wow, I got to win this. And I think it would make mediocre teams, the Magic,
play harder.
The Pistons, the Lakers at the beginning, 8 seed, 7 seed, OKC. They had that run in the middle of the season when Paul George was kind of that MVP caliber.
Peak.
They were balling out. They were doing it.
Wow.
And they would have home court. If they had home court against Portland, maybe that's a different series. Just throwing it out there. Also throwing it out there, check out Dave Van Auken, Max Van Auken on Instagram, Twitter. Check out the locked _in on Instagram, Facebook, like the page, join the community, YouTube, Twitter, everything. Check us out.
I like that idea. And it would eliminate tanking to a sense. And that's actually another big aspect of the NBA draft was, of course, the teams that tank the most didn't get the number 1 overall pick. So that's just...
Do you feel bad for the Suns?
No, not at all. Because you keep losing on purpose. You keep firing GMs. You keep doing what... You have, like, there's that saying where if you just do it the right way, it may take long, but it won't take longer than just trying to skip the process. It's just do it the right way. It's not about losing games to get the... It's like, and to me, I feel in a way it's cheating. I think it's manipulating the system.
Sure.
And I don't support it at all. If you try to win games and you show that you're a well-run organization, you're stable, you'll get players the natural way. And you're creating a system, you're creating a culture of being a good-run team. The Suns... They were a good run team. They do have some good history, but they just keep trying to lose, firing head coaches, acting like it was the head coach's fault.
I know.
But it's just, and then you don't get rewarded with the number 1 overall pick. So what is this season to the Phoenix Suns? You literally could not have played this season.
It's good things happen to good people. It's just what it is. And the Suns are at number 6, and this the Jason McIntyre mock draft, they got him drafting Kobe White from North Carolina. Like, I'm sorry.
He's going to change the franchise, Dave.
No, he's not going to change the franchise. You have Devin Booker scoring 70 a night. He's not changing no damn franchise. They got the number one pick, Ayton, who had a really good season. Like, no, everyone says the bigs are gone, but the Joker in Denver, you had a Joel Embiid when he plays, he's unbelievable, top 5, top 10 player. And you had Ayton had a really good year, so maybe bigs are coming back. But guys, Phoenix, let's talk about it. We haven't, we went so far in with Zion, draft ideas, trades, AD. I just want to throw out a couple kind of tidbits at here, and I want your takes. 3 guys and 3 teams that I like. It makes sense. Number 2, Ja Morant. We haven't talked about him at all, and I want to. I love this kid. I love him. Number 5, they have Cleveland picking DeAndre Hunter. He was on Virginia, the national championship team. He's kind of reminds me, the prospect-wise, of Kevin Knox. He's like that 6'7", 6'8", wing, shooter, defender, slasher. I like him. And then kind of my sleeper so far in the draft, watched him a couple of times, especially in Texas Tech. We have a friend who used to coach there, Jarrett Culver. And they have them at number 8, Atlanta picking them, which I love for Atlanta because they got the big, they got Trae Young. Yeah. They need that wing scorer. So, Ja Morant, DeAndre Hunter to Cleveland, Culver to Atlanta, and you like those as well? What's your aspect?
Well, of course, if you're not talking Zion Williamson, you're talking Ja Morant. He's the guy that stands out to me the most because it's weird, though, because Memphis with the number 2 overall pick, I think is a really weird situation for him to go to. Like, I would want Ja Morant to go somewhere else. And it sucks because I said the same thing about Zion Williamson. Mm-hmm. And you don't always get to go to where you want, especially when the worst teams get the best selections. I just feel like I wanted to see Ja Morant in New York. I wanted to see Ja Morant, of course, in LA. But I just Memphis and New Orleans, to me, are the 2 places I wouldn't want the future of the NBA to go to. And it sounds like rough, and it may sound a little harsh, but I don't. If you're talented, you're going to stand out no matter where you are. If you're talented, you can bring that winning culture to, Rashad says all the time, magnetism. You can bring that to wherever you are. I mean, the Warriors, I know they're where they are, their location, they have a well-run franchise, but we weren't always talking about the Warriors the way we are now. Steph Curry created that culture, that leadership, and then Clay went through the draft, and then he bought into that, and he has the same attitude, and they developed it organically. And Milwaukee, that's not a big franchise, you would think, but with Giannis, and then you get key pieces. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I wouldn't have preferred those guys to go where they're going.
No, I totally agree, but I just wrote down 4 names, and you said one was Steph. Before Steph got there, Golden State was a bad franchise in the West, kind of like Memphis. Here's 2 more. Damian Lillard to the Portland Trailblazers. They've always kind of just...
They have a good history, though.
They do. And the Memphis... remember, 6 years they were in that middle of the West or Western Conference Finals all the time, and they lost to teams like Golden State and Dallas and
Randolph,
San Antonio.
Gasol.
Like they were awesome, and I loved watching them. Tony Allen playing D. Conley's been great. Another one, Russell Westbrook. Like OKC is not a great history franchise. Same thing with Memphis, but that point guard can really control and take over that team. So, you ready for this one? I'm a New York fan. I'm a big guy. I like Morant going to Memphis. I think it gives the Grizzlies a shot to a rebirth, gives them a shot to come out of the fire and say, hey, we're going to, because Jaren Jackson had a pretty good season. They're not going to be great, so they will have another draft pick next year. And then the big thing, the big elephant in the room for them is that trade. I feel like they will trade Conley and probably Avery Bradley. It's just Avery doesn't work with Morant. So if you trade those 2 guys, what piece do you get? Do you get the 4th pick in the draft and you pick another young player to match with Morant? Imagine, just say they pick Culver or DeAndre Hunter. So they get a young wing and he pops. Like, guys, this draft, everyone's saying it's a 3-person draft. Yeah, right now, prospect-wise, it is. But people didn't have Klay Thompson. People didn't have Giannis. People didn't have Kawhi Leonard in that draft. They're like, oh, it's a 1 or 2 of these people. So if Memphis draft well, like OKC with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Westbrook, and like Golden State did with Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and stuff, you can turn the team around. It goes through the draft.
And I agree with that. But that's like saying, look, New England has a great culture. You just got to turn it around like New England. You got to get a good, like, it's so hard to replicate that, to duplicate that. And not impossible, but it's not just going to happen to any franchise. You have to have a good owner, a good GM, a good coach, good leadership. And as we see in the NBA, that not every team has that. The one other person, and you and I have always said it, is Cam Reddish. We think, and I don't know if you still believe it because I know you're a New York Knicks fan. If you still believe he'll be better than RJ Barrett, I think he will be. I think Cam Reddish is like the sleeper of this whole thing.
Wow. Okay.
And Zion will be the best player.
Sure.
And
him and Moran are 1-2.
Yes,
We
I'm
agree
not
with
saying
that.
he's
Okay.
like Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell of this draft. Like, I'm not saying where he's the best player in the draft, but I think he could be like the third best player in this draft.
Kind of like Clay.
Yeah.
Clay was the 7th or 8th pick and became the second or third best player in the draft.
And wait, what pick? All right, so it goes New Orleans, Memphis, Knicks, Lakers. Do you remember the fifth?
Yeah, the 5th is Cleveland.
Yep.
6th is Phoenix. 7th is Chicago. Could land there. 8th and 10th are Atlanta. And number 9 they have in this mock draft is Cam Reddish to the Washington Wizards. Match him up with Bradley Beal, John Wall.
And yeah, I was going to say, I think if he were to go to Atlanta, I think that's a really good fit because Trae Young's a shooter. If you get another wing shooter,
great,
especially with their young, his name is at the tip of my tongue.
Jason Collins.
He's like right there, about to just break through.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a really good spot. And then I'm not a big fan of John Wall and his contract. I do like Bradley Beal though. So if you were to add that third. Because he's a small forward in the NBA, shooting guard, small forward.
Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say a 3.
Because he's lanky. So if you have that 3 that can shoot and he's long, I think Cam Reddish is going to end up in a good situation. And I think he's going to be the guy we're like, damn, we should have gotten Cam Reddish.
I'm with you on Cam. I'm not with you that he's going to be better than Barrett. I switched.
Ooh, because you're a Knicks fan. Is that why?
hey, sometimes you go all in. You know, you love your kids and you love your team. And I'm all in with the Knicks. I
like Barrett. I do.
His demeanor at the draft lottery, just how people talked about him. And I keep on hearing this, and this is crazy. They have a lot of James Harden comparisons, and if that hits, that's unbelievable.
He's very smooth.
So the Knicks got the 3rd pick. Mm-hmm. So can I throw out some, old school 3rd picks overall and be everyone in New York, they're devastated, like how I was. Here's therapy for you. I'm going to give you some people. Some NBA players, Hall of Famers, all-time greats that were drafted number 3. Start off with Anthony Hardaway, Penny. Great career until he got hurt. He was unbelievable. Talking about an injury guy, but still an NBA Hall of Famer. Grant Hill was picked number 3.
I love Grant Hill.
Love Grant Hill. Dominique Wilkins, an all-timer.
I think he's pretty good.
Pete Maravich, an all-timer. 2 new guys, or newer guys. 1, Carmelo Anthony, in the best draft ever, was number 3. And the guy who he's compared to, James Harden, was the 3rd overall pick. And the very last player, I'm just going to throw it out there, drafted number 3 from the University of North Carolina, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
He's pretty good.
So New York, relax. Relax. Relax.
And you're right, relax. I'm not trying to be the Debbie downer here.
Come on.
Like, come on. You didn't get Zion freaking Williamson. Like, James Harden is great. All these guys are great. But if you don't get Zion, I would be upset. But like you said, I do like thinking of the positives though. And I hope I am wrong on RJ Barrett because like you said, I really like his attitude, the way he carries himself. I did like him at Duke. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is that guy that's like, I don't know. He's not going to be James Harden. I'm sorry, because I don't see him ever averaging 36 in the NBA. But maybe if he is an all-star, like I would love to see him do good. But I just, my gut's just telling me I'm sticking with my guns.
No, stick with him. And one thing I do like that gives me hope about RJ Barrett, if we keep that pick and draft him, is Zion gave the control of the team, and especially at the end of games during the regular season for Duke, and that we even kind of got on him, and RJ Barrett was a little
hero ball.
Yeah, a little bit hero ball, but I respect that, one, he took it. He has enough confidence
true.
in himself, and that goes a long way in the NBA. Sometimes some of these players, you saw Toronto and Philly in Game 7, no one wanted to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So for one, I respect it. And two, Zion, who everyone has on the pedestal as an all-timer, he even says, all right, yeah, it's a minute left. RJ's getting it. Like, that's something. There's something there. The machismo, the chemistry.
You have to have trust in order to do that.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. My last off script for you here is, do you ever remember, of course, LeBron James sticks out. Other than LeBron James, is there a draft where you're like, Patrick Ewing stands out? I'm talking about in recent time where, like, oh, we all know he's number one. Like, the way they treated this pre-draft was literally the Zion Williamson show.
The Zion lottery.
Yeah, like we knew Ben Simmons was probably going one. We knew Wiggins was going one. But I don't remember it being like this. Like they were literally filming him everywhere he went. If he even looked at the Atlanta Hawks and touched that like that desk, if he even looked at the Lakers or the Knicks, like we were looking at his every move. They had the big speaker on and you could see his reaction every time they said his name. Like he was literally under the spotlight from the start to the finish. And they're like, yeah, who will get Zion Williamson at number one? We find out tonight. Like everyone just knows it's Zion Williamson.
All right. No, I don't. Let me guess. And we give details and we give facts on this show, Max. Last year, 2018, DeAndre Ayton to Phoenix. 2017, Markelle Fultz. We didn't know a week before. 2016 was Ben Simmons. He was kind of one that we were pretty sure, but a lot of people didn't like it because he didn't make the draft. The tournament. And Brandon Ingram did, and he was from Duke. So a lot of people were like, guys,
he looks like Durant.
Yeah. Before him, 2015, Minnesota Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
2014 is, and if you remember it, and I know it did not pan out, but 2014, Andrew Wiggins was a number one lock.
Yeah.
And people thought he
could be the next LeBron.
Yeah. That's one that kind of jumps at my head. Here's one that's just awful. The worst first pick ever, Anthony Bennett, like Cleveland Cavs. He's out of the league. How do you pick someone number one and out of the league?
Yeah, and let me rewind. Karl Anthony Towns, if you remember, it's easy to pick him number one, but Jahlil Okafor was the guy who everyone was like, that guy's going to be really good.
From Duke again.
And Karl Anthony Towns kind of just catapulted above him to get number one.
Especially that tournament.
He wasn't even just the unanimous number one.
Agree.
Projected, but not unanimous.
Correct.
But okay, go back to Anthony Bennett, and Victor was like the second pick of that draft, I think.
Yeah, and just Bennett was like the night of
like,
him
what?
walking up, we were not sure what number one was.
Who is he?
2012 was kind of like that, Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
He had a great tournament, kid from Kentucky, number one prospect all the way. 2011, not really. Kyrie Irving, he was hurt, and he was the right pick, but they weren't sure. John Wall. Oh, here's one. 2009, Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
He was like the 100% unanimous number one. But even that, you nailed it. Great point. I love this. We just went through 10. There was a couple. We thought Ben, Blake, Anthony Davis. It wasn't like this. It was not like this. I've been an NBA fan for 20 years, watching the draft lottery. It was never a one-man show.
And the number two is really good. Ja Morant is really good. Any other draft, he probably is number one.
Yeah. There's people out there, and let's call it out. Rashad Phillips is one of them. He thinks Morant will be a better NBA player than Zion.
That's what I'm saying. So for him to be the Zion show with Ja Morant as your number two is like, whoa.
Number two, it's not like it's Victor.
No.
It's not like it's a mediocre, who's a good player. It's unbelievable. That's the Zion effect.
I know. I love him. My favorite player besides LeBron.
Is he? Is
Zion?
he your is he the number two player?
If I had to pick, yeah, probably. Wow. I never played an NBA game.
You know who
probably doesn't ever have to. Like he'd still be my second favorite.
You know who's my second favorite player in the world right now?
Is he in the NBA?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, he's in the league. My second favorite player in the world.
RJ Barrett.
Nope. He's in the league.
Number one still LeBron?
Yeah.
Just making sure. I'm just making sure. You've been really hard on LeBron this year, so I'm making sure he's still your favorite.
I've been, I think, truthful on LeBron.
Giannis.
Nope.
I get three more guesses.
Yep.
Damian Lillard.
Nope. Love him. Top five. Love Dame. Love him.
Okay, what am I at?
It's going to be so obvious.
I have two more picks. I have two more picks.
Well, you said Giannis. and Lillard. You got one more pick.
One more pick.
One more pick.
Can you give me one more hint? East or West?
He's West, and he's coming East.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, a New
I should've
York
picked
Knicks
that.
legend, the best shooter in the world. Kevin Durant, two-time NBA Finals MVP, a scorer. He did it for his mom to win the MVP. I love me, Kevin Durant.
Should have picked that one. Damn. Because I was like, I know you love Dame, and I know you're a big Giannis guy. Didn't even think about that.
He's coming, bro.
If he doesn't come as your second favorite player?
Oh, no, I hate him. If he doesn't come, I don't like it. Just even LeBron to the Lakers at this time, the year before, and even that Miami year, it was still, you weren't sure. In Cleveland, remember when Cleveland beat Boston, you were like, man, he could stay now. He still went to the finals. Like,
yeah.
He had good momentum. Golden State is mowing through the Western Conference right now, and everyone's still saying Kevin Durant's coming. It's unbelievable. And I'm a Knicks fan. Like, this is, wow.
All right, here is my final. We'll end. This is my locked in. I'm ending the episode like this, and I'm pretty much.
Okay.
This is my least likelihood of being right locked in. I'm projecting. I'm going to do just like the top 5 free agents where they're going, and I could be wrong. I know I'm probably going to be wrong on some of them.
Let me get a permanent black marker and a piece of paper. So who are the 5 before you
Kevin
start?
Durant,
KD, okay.
Kyrie Irving,
Kawhi
Leonard.
Ooh, Leonard. Okay.
Anthony Davis isn't a free agent, but I'm going to put him on there where he lands because he's such a big talking point.
Okay, so a trade with AD. Okay.
And then Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Butler. Okay.
All right. Number 1, Kevin Durant becomes a New York Knick.
100% agree.
Okay. Number 2, Kyrie Irving becomes a Laker. You don't agree on that one? We didn't even write that one down. Number 3.
Kyrie's a Knick, guys. Kyrie and KD are going to be together.
And like I said, you're probably right. I'm just going to be optimistic from a Lakers point of view.
Okay.
And from, I just think if they can get Anthony Davis, which I think they will, the Lakers.
Wait, what?
I think they'll get Anthony Davis. I think there's been so much turmoil. Can't get any worse. Like, I really don't think it can get any worse at this point. So it's only going up. So at that point, I think LeBron James is probably calling ever since he didn't make the playoffs. And he's telling Rich Paul, I don't know why Anthony Davis doesn't just say, hey, I'm only going to be a Laker. And that would probably help some things. But I think Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving will be a Laker. And then because if you get Anthony Davis, it'll be easier to convince Kyrie Irving. Number 3, who did I say is?
You have Kawhi and Jimmy Butler left.
Kawhi becomes a Clipper.
Okay.
And I know he's having a lot of success in Toronto. You and I both agree he's losing this series.
Yes.
He could make the case to be the second best player in the world right now. Maybe
he
even
could
first, but
you could.
Yeah, I think he becomes a Clipper.
Okay.
And then Jimmy Butler is the really weird one because if we don't get Kyrie and we don't get AD, I see him becoming a Laker. Mm-hmm. But if not, I feel like Philadelphia signs him.
So you think he stays in Philly?
I think he stays
with these 5.
Yeah, because I think if they move on, he's the hardest one for me. Because if they move on from Tobias Harris and they move on from those guys, I think they're going to do their absolute best to keep Jimmy Butler.
Okay, so Durant agree 100% Knicks. Kyrie 100% to the Knicks. They're going together.
Yeah.
So this is where we differentiate. Anthony Davis gets traded
Celtics
to the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard stays in Toronto, and Jimmy Butler signs with the Clippers.
That's a good one.
So
the
Clippers get AD and Jimmy Buckets. Kawhi stays in Toronto, and the Knicks get Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and R.J. Barrett.
No, and I see that also. But
you like those?
Yeah. So who do you think that the Lakers just don't get anybody?
I don't.
Wow.
I'm telling you, and I'm not trying to be.
All right, end it.
no, Max. I'm not trying to be. And I'm telling you, remember even Damian Lillard's name came up a little bit last year in the trade room, a little bit. That 4th pick is a good piece, and you have a couple young, the Mike Conley, Avery Bradley. I don't think it's awful, and if you might,
it's awful.
John Wall.
Oh my God, no! I don't want that contract.
Al Horford for the fourth pick.
He's getting older by the day.
Denver. I'm trying to give you someone. Detroit.
The only thing is if, hey,
Golden State,
Bradley
Houston.
Beal, I know you already signed. Maybe here's a trade. He's not happy with John Wall. If there's
Maybe.
that's the only Kemba.
Yeah, no, Kemba could, and because Kemba he has some kind of connections with Jason Kidd. I heard that one already. But just say Bradley Beal, yeah, the fourth pick, our first pick next year, your first pick next year, I should say, Kuzma and Ball. That could happen. Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Miami.
Expectations is the word of this episode,
Yep.
though. I have high expectations.
Gordon Dragic for the fourth pick. Imagine Gordon's a borderline all-star. Add him to the Lakers. You got to control your expectations,
I'm not
Max.
accepting this. LeBron James, I am putting all my faith and trust in LeBron. Not even talking about Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. I know it's their quote-unquote franchise, and look where that's gotten us. Let LeBron James do all the recruiting, because I know no one wants to answer the phone with Rob. They'll answer the phone with LeBron.
Max, an unbelievable episode. I know everyone listens to this podcast. We see the numbers, people in China, people in Brazil, people all over the world, but to our local people here in Central Florida, Orlando, Daytona, Tampa, Melbourne, support Winners Bar in Port Orange, Florida. Support Thank You 5 in Port Orange, Florida. And like always, Max, stay locked in.